Hey everybody, it's Jen here. I feel like I have to crouch down so you can see me. So here I am in my my home again, teaching a mat yoga class today, and I'm going to focus on the root chakra. Bear with me, I'm a little nervous because I haven't taught this in a little while. I'm not an expert on the chakras, but I enjoy them and I really connect with that work. And so I thought about teaching some chakra and yoga classes several months back. Maybe it was last fall at this point, I can't remember. So I'm kind of learning as I go as well. But so anyway, welcome. And again, I'm at my home. I don't have my own office or anything, so it's a little weird. The angle and the setup here is a little strange, but hope you can bear with me. So I'm just going to read a little bit about the root chakra, just so that I can familiarize you with some basic information about it. And actually, before we get started, I have these wonderful essential oil rollerball oils that we put together with my doTERRA peeps a while back. It was a do-it-yourself chakra kit of oils, and so since we're working on the root chakra today, I'm going to put a little bit of this on. I guess it's backwards, but Muladhara is the Sanskrit term for root chakra. And this oil has some coconut oil as well as the oils of coriander, eucalyptus, and spikenard. And it's just a really great balancing, or not really balancing, but more of a grounding blend of oils. And it's suggested to put them on the bottoms of your feet. I'm not going to do that because it makes my feet a little slippery on the yoga mat. So I'm just going to rub a little bit on my ankles. And I like to put it on my wrists too, so that I can smell it. It smells really good. So a little bit of a grounding oil blend here before I get started. And so as I was saying, the root chakra, the Sanskrit term is Muladhara, and that means, I'm just referring to my notes here, it means root support. And I'm getting this out of this lovely book called Chakra Balancing by Anodea Judith. It's a book that was something we had to get during our yoga training, and it's a really great book. It has lots of useful information on the chakras. So the first chakra is the foundation of our entire chakra system. It's located at the base of the spine. You can also think of like your legs or your feet as part of that chakra, whatever is getting you in touch with the earth. So your feet come in contact with the ground. Sitting on the ground is helping us be grounded and in contact with the earth or the floor. And so this is our foundation. And without a solid foundation, our temple will not be strong. Without deep roots, your tree will not grow tall. Without an anchor, you have no stability. So the root chakra is all about creating that stability and the feeling of safety in the world, feeling of just being connected to nature. Think of a tree, and the strong roots that help it attached to the earth. And when the wind blows, if there's a storm, sometimes trees break. That's normal, that's life, right? Sometimes we break, sometimes we fall over, but generally the roots hold that tree in place. We might wave around a little bit in the wind, but generally the tree stands, or we hope that it does, and we hope that we do. But again, this is life. Sometimes we don't, sometimes we fall, sometimes we break, and hopefully we can get back up. But anyway, having that strong foundation can help us to be a little bit more rooted in the ground, rooted in our lives, rooted in our bodies. So some of the characteristics of a balanced root chakra include things such as having good physical health, being comfortable in your body, a sense of safety and security in the world, stability and solidity, a right livelihood, prosperity, the ability to be still, and presence in the here and now. So if some of these things you struggle with, maybe you struggle with fear and anxiety, which I do, spaciness, inability to sit still. I mean, I'm shifting even as I sit here. You know, these are all things that I struggle with too. I'm just a human person. So those are some deficient characteristics. And if you have an excessive amount of the root chakra energy, you could have some heaviness, some sluggishness, resistance to change, maybe issue with overeating or obesity, hoarding, things like that. So, you know, we want to try to get some of these characteristics in balance, and yoga is one way that we can help do that. So I'm going to try not to talk a whole lot more, but we'll go ahead and we'll do some yoga poses today that can help ground you and can get that root chakra in balance. So I'm going to go over to my mat. I had to push it way back so that you can see me standing up later. So we're actually going to start the class today on our back and with a little bit of grounding. So I encourage you to just lie down on your mat on your back. Hopefully you can hear me okay. And just close your eyes, get comfortable here. Let yourself kind of spread out, a foot to each corner of the mat, arms at your sides. And just try and relax here for a few moments. Just let any tension roll off your shoulders, roll off of your body, wherever you might be holding the tension. And maybe just start to bring your awareness to your breath. Yoga, or breath is a big part of yoga, so we want to try to become more aware of our breath on a regular basis. Just checking in with it and maybe deepening it when we're feeling anxious or whatever the mood might be that isn't settled. And so let's just take a few deep breaths here. Let your belly relax. And as you inhale, see if you can draw that breath all the way down into the belly and feel the belly expanding like a balloon. And move the air up to the lungs and the throat. And then when you're ready to exhale, just push it all back out. So starting at the throat and then the lungs. And then the belly is kind of the last thing to push down and push that air out. So let's try that a few more times. Inhaling, deep inhale all the way to the belly. Fill up the lungs. And exhale it back out. We'll do two more. Inhale. And exhale. And one more time. Inhale. And big exhale. And then just breathe normal for a few moments. And just check in with yourself, see how everything is feeling. And just feel yourself. Bring here on the mat, here in your room, wherever you may be. Feel the texture of the mat underneath you. Feel the support of the floor underneath you. And take notice of any sounds that are around you. Maybe you have some music playing. Maybe you hear my music in the background. Maybe noises outside of the space that you're in at the moment. And just become aware of those things to help bring you into this current moment so that we're more mindful. And if you'd like, you may set an intention for your practice today. It could just be, I want to be here in the moment. I will be here now. Whatever feels right. And so we're going to take one more deep breath in and out through the nose. And when you're done, you can open your eyes back up and let's start to draw our knees in toward our chest. And you can take your arms and just wrap them around your knees and maybe start to rock a little bit side to side on your mat, massaging your back on the floor. You can keep your eyes closed too if you like. And just notice how your back is feeling today. Notice that contact your back has with the floor and with your mat. And we'll take one more breath like that. Tucking those knees in toward the chest, giving them a squeeze. Good. We're going to do a little alternating knees to chest after this. So you're going to keep your right knee tucked in toward your chest. You can even interlace your fingers together, wrap it around the knee, and you're going to extend this left leg straight out toward the bottom of your mat. Try and keep your leg an inch or two off the floor, and all the toes are pointing toward the sky. So just hold here for a second, squeezing that right knee in toward your chest, getting a nice stretch. And then on your next exhale, we're going to switch legs. So left knee comes in and right leg extends out. The right foot is an inch or two off the floor, and that left leg gets a nice stretch as you squeeze it in toward your chest. Make sure you're breathing here. Sometimes we have a tendency to hold our breath when we're in a pose. And then we're going to try to flow with this little movement a few times with our breath. So exhale, switch legs, and then inhale, switch. So just kind of find your own rhythm, alternating sides, moving with your breath if you can. Getting a little gentle movement into the body today. And we're going to do one more of these to each side. Good. And then just one more squeeze. Bring those knees in, give them a squeeze. All right, so we're going to come up to a seated position. However you want to get there, you can roll to one side and push up, or however works for you. And we're just going to come into an easy seated pose. So just cross legs and just get comfortable. Sorry, my hair is a little crazy. And just sit up nice and tall so that you have lots of space for your breath. And if it's difficult to sit with your legs crossed, you could always take the legs straight out in front of you, or you can sit on a bolster or a blanket if you have those at home. So we're just going to sit here for a moment and really feel our bottom and the whole pelvic area rooted to the ground. So sitting nice and tall, hands resting on your knees. And if you like, you can close your eyes. And just feel that contact of those sit bones of your bottom, your hips, your pelvic area in contact with the mat underneath you. Feel the support of the floor. And while we're here, I forgot to mention, there's a lot of different characteristics associated with the chakras. And with the root chakra, there's a color associated with it, and the color is red. And as we're getting in touch with this area of our body, the base of the spine, if you like, you may choose to start to visualize a red color at the base of the spine. So perhaps it starts off as the size of a seed. It could be very small, just a little speck of red in that area. Or maybe it's a larger amount of red. And as we inhale, let's see if we can start to visualize that color growing in size. And as you exhale, maybe you let go of whatever is in that area that you don't need. And it could be represented by a color or a sensation or whatever seems right to you. And if it's nothing, then that's okay too. So as you inhale, the red color grows in size at the base of the spine. And as you exhale, we push away anything that doesn't belong there. And we'll keep going. Inhale. The red color grows in that chakra. Exhale, letting go of that which you don't need. Inhale, breathing in that color. Exhale, letting go of what you don't need. We'll do a couple more. Inhale, filling that space at the root of the spine or the base of the spine. Exhale, letting go. And one more deep breath in, filling the space with red, beautiful red color. And exhale, one more time, letting go of what you don't need. Good. So if your eyes were closed, you can go ahead and open them back up. We are going to just stretch our legs out next. So again, if you need a blanket to kind of prop yourself up onto, you can do that. Toes are going to point toward the sky. We're just going to do a little staff pose to begin with. So legs are stretched out, arms are going to be at your sides. Maybe the palms are touching the floor. And we just want to, again, sit up nice and tall. One thing I like to say as an example of being tall is maybe pretending you're sitting up against the wall, and so your back has to be really straight. Or the idea of a puppet with a string coming out of the top of your head, and the string is pulling you up so that your upper body is nice and straight and the legs are nice and long out in front of you. And again, bring that awareness back to your breath. And touching in with that mindfulness, that coming back to the base of the spine, coming back to that root chakra area. Feel the sit bones connecting with the mat. Become aware of any sensations in that area, any visuals that might come to mind. If nothing, that's okay. Just anything that might get you a little bit more in touch with that chakra in that area. Staff pose is a static pose, so we hold it, we're not moving. Those toes again are pointing up, so that activates all those leg muscles. And we might even feel those abdominal muscles activated as we hold ourselves up nice and straight. So one more breath here, make sure you're breathing. And exhale, let it out. Good, and then just relax. Relax the legs, give them a shake. And we're gonna do a little twist. So let's go ahead and we'll keep the right leg straight, but we're gonna take the left leg and just cross it over top of that right leg. And with your right arm, you're gonna hug the left knee in toward your chest. Some folks even like to take their elbow to the outside of the knee. And we're going to twist to our left, looking behind us. Hold here, taking a couple breaths. Keep those right toes pointing toward the sky. Keep that left knee tucked in toward your chest so you get a nice stretch in your leg and your hip. And one more deep breath in and out through your nose. And so we're going to untwist, come back to center, release that left leg, give the legs a little shake. And we're going to switch sides. So this time, right leg crosses over the left. We sit up nice and tall, and we hug that right knee in with our left arm, and we twist to the right. This right hand comes behind us, and we hold here, take a couple breaths. One more breath in and out. and slowly untwist. Good. All right, shake out the legs, and we're gonna just do a little forward, some static forward folds. So again, our root chakra is in contact with the mat here as we sit. Those sit bones are rooting into the ground. Arms are gonna be at our sides. On an inhale, we're gonna sweep the arms up for a big stretch, and then exhale, reach out, fold forward, reaching toward your feet. As you start to inhale, start to slide back up, lifting the arms back toward the sky, big stretch, maybe the hands touch. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, start to roll back up nice and slowly, reaching to the sky. Exhale, fold forward. We're going to do 2 more. Inhale, floating back up, big stretch. Exhale, fold forward. And inhale back up. This time when we exhale, we're going to hold the fold. So fold forward, grab wherever you can, your feet, your ankles, and then kind of relax into it. Your head can come in toward the legs. You can also use a strap here if you can't quite get your hands to your feet. That's totally fine. And just take a few breaths. Start to feel everything stretch. Your legs, your back, your neck maybe. One more breath in and out. And then you're slowly going to round back up, back to a seated position. Good. Okay. Let's go ahead and come up onto hands and knees for a moment. And we're just going to take our right leg back for a second. So your right leg stretches back and the toes are still on the floor. And you're just pressing your heel toward the mat to open up, or not open up, but to stretch that right calf. And sometimes I like to sway my hips side to side a little bit here so I can get a bit of a side stretch. Particularly in that right side. It feels nice. Nice stretch. And so we'll take one more breath on this side. And then we're going to switch sides. So right knee comes in and the left leg goes back this time. Stretching out that left calf muscle and maybe a little bit of swaying side to side. One more breath on this side. And then come back to center, bring that knee back in. Just taking a peek at the time, making sure it's working. Okay. All right, let's find our child's pose for a moment. So you're going to take your knees wide apart, your big toes come together, and you just sink your hips onto the heels, and you walk your arms out toward the front of the mat as far as you're comfortable going. And maybe the elbows even come off the floor here, and just let your head start to rest down. If your head doesn't quite touch the floor, you can stack your fists and rest your forehead on your fists. Or you could always use a block or a bolster here. Take a few moments here to just stretch. You might even shift your hips a little bit side to side and feel some stretch in the creases of your legs. And we'll take one more deep breath here, in and out. From here, we're going to move into downward facing dog. So you can pretty much keep your feet and your hands where they're at. We're just going to lift up and then curl your toes under, lift your hips toward the sky. And you might need to shift a little bit here. This is our upside down V, our down dog. And I like to move a little bit in my dog, so you can start to pedal your feet back and forth a little bit, just bending your knees, stretching out your calf muscles. And even coming up and down on the toes is kind of nice. I like to stretch out my feet I guess. So you can try that. And one more breath here in our down dog. And then let's go ahead and bring the knees back down. We're going to step the left foot forward and come into a low lunge. So left foot comes forward toward the front of your mat, and your right knee is on the floor, and the right leg is kind of stretched out a bit behind you. Let's try and keep our left knee right over top of your ankle. And so from here, you can either just kind of hang here with the hands on the mat, or you can bring your hands to your knee, or some people like to lift the arms over the head for a big stretch. So whatever feels right for you today. I like to have my hands down, or at least today I do. Every day is different, right? Sort of. Maybe not so much these days, but anyway, a little joke there. So again, if your hands are down, you can sway your hips a little bit side to side to get into that hip flexor muscle on this right leg. All right, so let's go ahead and straighten that left leg. You're just gonna lift the toes up in the air. The left heel is still on the floor. And that left leg is as straight as you can get it, and you get a nice stretch down the back of the leg. One more breath here. Okay, let's go ahead and switch legs. So left foot's gonna come back. Right foot's going to come forward this time. We come into our low lunge. So right knee is over the ankle. Left knee is still on the floor. And you can either have hands down, hands to your knee, or arms over your head. Make sure you're breathing. We'll take 2 more breaths. At the end of that second breath, bring your arms back down, and we'll go ahead and straighten that right leg. So come up onto your heel, toes are pointing toward the sky, and we straighten that right leg and get a nice stretch down the back of the leg. One more breath. Releasing any tension. Good. Okay, so from here, we're going to come up to standing. So if you want to just bend that right knee, you can, actually, we're going to come into forward fold. So step your feet forward, however you want to get there. And just let your arms dangle toward the mat. If they don't touch the floor, that's okay. You can grab opposite elbows. If they do come to the floor, that's cool too. Either way. So we just want to kind of feel like a rag doll here. We're just hanging forward. We're getting a nice stretch in the backs of our legs, down our back and shoulders. And if you like a little neck stretch, you can kind of move your head like you're saying yes or no, yes and no. So just kind of turning left and right with the head, or up and down, just to kind of get a little movement into the neck muscles. They can get very stiff. Okay, so we're gonna lift up halfway for monkey pose. So we bring our hands to our shins and we straighten our back. So we don't want to be rounded too much here. We want to kind of engage these abdominal muscles and straighten our back and our arms and our legs, so that if you let go of your hands, you'd be kind of up like at a 90-degree angle here, kind of like a table. And we get a nice stretch again here in the legs. We work these abdominal muscles. One more breath. And then fold back down. And then inhale, reverse swan dive. We come all the way up to standing. So arms are going to reach over the head. And really take a stretch here. Maybe even a little back bend if you like. And then just bring your arms down to your sides. Just give everything a little shake. Okay, I think you can just about see me standing here. Okay, so we're gonna just come into mountain pose for a moment. Mountain pose is a real basic kind of just a basic pose of yoga, and it's really good for grounding. So you're just going to stand with your feet flat on the floor, about hip distance apart. And maybe you even take a second to just kind of rock forward and back on your heels and toes. Just feel that contact with the floor. And then let them settle flat onto the floor. Maybe even lift up your toes and bring each toe back down one at a time onto the mat. It's a little tricky to do, but you can try it. And then arms are going to be at your sides, palms facing out, fingers are spread, shoulders are relaxed here. You might even, for a second, just kind of take the shoulders up toward your ears and then roll them down and back and let them kind of fall into their natural place. And so we're standing really tall, finding our best posture, maybe closing your eyes if you wish, and feeling that rootedness, that groundedness to the floor, feeling those feet in contact with the floor. And maybe we even take a moment to come back to that root chakra, that color at the base of the spine. Maybe relax the pelvic muscles for a moment. And take a few breaths. You could try that exercise of inhaling and seeing that red color at the root chakra starting to grow in size, filling that area. And as you exhale, if there's anything there you don't need, it could be represented by a color or a sensation. Try to let that go, if you wish. We'll take a couple more breaths like this, inhaling, growing the red, beautiful red color of the root chakra, and exhaling that which we don't need. Okay, one more breath. Inhale. And exhale. Good. And then open your eyes. Give everything a little shake. Okay, let me check my time. We're going to do about an hour here. So we've got about 30 minutes left. I'd like us to go through some sun salutations. I always try to do sun salutations in my classes, even my chair yoga. So we're going to do a sun salutation. So I invite you to come to the front of your mat. And again, find that mountain pose. If you're not already there, you might have already been there. So standing nice and tall, feet are flat on the floor. And so on an inhale, we're going to sweep our arms up, take a big stretch. Maybe your hands come together. And then exhale, fold forward. So nice flat back as you come down. We come all the way down. Inhale, we lift up halfway for that monkey pose, hands to shins. And exhale, we fold back down. Inhale, right foot steps back for that low lunge. So right knee to the floor, left knee is over the ankle. And hands down, or hands to your knee, or hands to the sky. Let's just hold for 2 breaths wherever you're at. One more breath. And then slowly bring the hands back down. Inhale, step the other foot back. We're going to find downward facing dog. So take a moment here, maybe walk your dog, or if you have trouble being still in the world or being still in your life, maybe try practicing not moving. Let your heels drop to the floor, let the crown of your head drop to the floor, and lift through your hips. One more breath. On your next inhale, we're going to come forward into a plank. It can be either a full plank or a kneeling plank. And then exhale, we are going to come all the way to the floor. So you can drop your knees, you can do knees, chest, chin, and then come flat to the floor. Uncurl your toes, your hands are right underneath your shoulders. On an inhale, we're going to come into cobra pose. So inhale, lift the chin and chest. And exhale, come back down. Let's do 2 more of those. So inhale, lift chin and chest. Exhale, come down. Last one, inhale. And exhale, come back down. Okay. We're going to go back into our down dog. So curl the toes, lift, go back into down dog. Maybe hold still if that's where you're practicing today, what you're practicing. One more breath in down dog. And then inhale, both feet come forward, forward fold. Just hanging here, take one more breath, letting yourself relax toward the floor. On an inhale, rise up halfway for your monkey. Exhale, fold. Inhale, reverse swan dive. Try to keep the back flat as you lift up, arms to the sky, big stretch. And exhale into mountain pose. We're going to do that on the other side. So inhale, reach up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale into that monkey. Exhale, fold. Inhale, left foot back this time, low lunge. So left knee to the floor, right knee is over the ankle, hands on the mat, hands to your knee or hands to the sky. Make sure to breathe, one more breath. And then we'll bring those hands back down. We're going to find downward facing dog. So curl that left toe, those left toes, step it back. Practice your moving or your stillness. One more breath here. And then we're going to inhale, roll or shift our weight forward into a plank. Shoulders are over the hands. And then exhale, come all the way down, flat to the floor. Inhale, we're going to do 3 cobras. So inhale, lift chin and chest. And exhale, lower. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. One more time, inhale. And exhale. Inhale, back into down dog. One more breath. And then inhale, step your feet forward, forward fold. Breathing out here for a second. On your next inhale, rise up halfway for your monkey. Exhale, fold back down. Inhale, reverse swan dive. Come all the way up, big stretch, maybe a little back bend. And exhale into your mountain pose. And then release. Just kind of relax for a second, shake it out. Okay, great job. Sun salutations are great for helping us connect our movement to our breath. It's such an important thing in yoga. Okay, I think we're going to try chair for a moment. It's another good one for helping us to be rooted to the earth, helping that root chakra be more in balance and alignment. So for our chair pose, we come to the front of our mat. I'm just going to stand this way so you can see me, of course, but you can be at the front of your mat. Again, the feet are going to be about hip distance apart. Feet are flat on the floor. And so we're going to go ahead and lift our arms up, straight up over the head, and then start to bend the knees as if you were sitting in an imaginary chair. So bend the knees to a comfortable distance or height, and then we hold there. You might look out several feet out in front of you, find a focal point for your eyes, and breathe. Feel those feet rooted. One more breath. On an exhale, fold forward. Just take a moment here to dangle If you'd like, you can take your arms over your head, like behind you. Maybe interlace your fingers together, and then just reach those arms up toward the sky for a nice shoulder stretch. Of course, just listening to your body as we do with anything that we do in yoga. So if something doesn't feel right, don't do it. But you know, just kind of check in with your body no matter what you do. We don't want to injure ourselves. All right, one more breath here, getting that nice shoulder stretch if that's what you're doing. And then release the arms back down. On an inhale, rise up halfway for that monkey. And exhale, fold. Inhale, reverse, swan dive all the way back up, big stretch. Exhale into your mountain. Great. I'd like to try tree pose today because again, it's a good balance pose in general. Balancing poses are just good for us, especially as we get older. But it's also good for connecting with that root chakra. So, you know, think of a tree. Again, like we think of a really old, strong tree, and it has those roots that are growing down into the ground and holding it firmly into the earth. So this is a good one for practicing that root chakra. So again, we start in that mountain pose. Again, you're at the front of your mat. I'm going to turn this way. And let's go ahead and start by shifting our weight into our left leg. And our right foot is going to turn out to the side. You're just going to kind of point the toes to the right. And find that balance on that left side. When you're ready, you're going to slide this right foot in toward the left. So you can just leave the toes on the mat, heel right above your left ankle, and kind of hang there. If that's a little bit too easy for you today, you want to go further, you can bring your foot to your calf, placing it between the knee and the ankle, never on the knee, because that can hurt your knee. And if you want to go a little bit deeper into the pose, you can lift the leg with the leg muscles, place the foot against your left thigh, and then rebalance yourself. Woo! So once you got your legs situated, if you'd like, you can bring your hands to the heart, hands palms together. Some people like to lift the arms over the head like tree branches. And if all of this is still too easy for you, you can close your eyes. Sometimes that makes it a little harder. If your eyes are open, I recommend finding a focal point for your eyes, a drishti as it's called in Sanskrit. It just helps us have kind of a place where we can focus, and that sometimes helps us with our balance. So pick your position, pick your shape for your tree, and we'll hold it for 3 breaths. Feel that left foot rooting into the earth, rooting into your mat. Maybe even that red color is filling the base of the spine, filling the root chakra. Maybe even the whole left leg is filling with red, the color red. I lost count of our breath, so let's take one more, just for fun. And with control, release your tree. Good. Shake out that left leg. It's working hard. And we're going to do the other side. So we're going to shift our weight into the right leg this time. Left foot turns out to the side. Of course, just a little mention, you can always do this against the wall if you need a little support or holding onto a chair. So when you're ready, we're going to slide that left foot in toward the right. So left toes are going to be on the floor. Left ankle, or left heel rather, is right up against the, right above the right ankle. And you can just stay here, that's totally fine. Again, you can go a little further if you wish. So pick a position for your foot, a shape for that tree. Once you get situated with your legs, you can move your hands if you like. And then practice your stillness again. Practice that groundedness. That right leg is rooted into the earth. The right foot is strong. The right leg is strong. Come back to that red color at the root chakra, the base of the spine. And we'll take a couple breaths, 2 more breaths. Last one. And then with control, if you can, start to release your tree. Good. If you can't do it with control, that's totally fine too. It's a practice. So we just practice. Okay, so we are going to come back down onto the floor. Let me check our time again. Ooh, wow. We got about 15 more minutes. So let's go ahead and come all the way onto the floor and onto our bottom. And we're gonna come into butterfly pose, or cobbler pose is another name for it, I believe. So the soles of your feet are gonna come together, and we wanna leave some space between our heels and our pelvis. So try not to cram your feet in toward the pelvis. Have a little bit of space. They say the length of your own foot, or you can go out further, of course, if you can't bring it in real close, or the length of your foot. And we're going to grab a hold of the ankles and just hold here for a minute. If you want to take a moment to like butterfly your legs up and down, or your knees rather, you can do that and just feel some stretch in the creases of your legs as you do that. And then start to find some stillness. So let those knees start to relax and soften. You can close your eyes here if you like. And what we're trying to do here is just relax. So feel your knees relaxing toward the floor. Feel the pelvic area, all those muscles in the pelvic floor start to relax. And we're not forcing the knees down. They're just kind of going wherever they can go with gravity. We also want to try to sit up tall. So even though we're sitting here and the knees are relaxing, we want to try and keep a straight back, or somewhat of a straight back. And then see where you can soften. Maybe the belly softens, maybe your face, the facial muscles. And we come back to that root chakra again. You might feel the base of the spine in contact with the mat. Maybe checking back in with that red color, see where it's at. Maybe it's starting to fill the whole space or width of your bottom, the body. And if not, if you don't see anything, that's okay too. I can't stress that enough. That we're just, wherever we're at is where we're at, and that's okay. There's no right or wrong. So we'll take one more breath here in our butterfly. And then we're going to slowly release our butterfly. So you can just take your hands to the outside of your knees, bring the knees back together. And we're just going to do what I call windshield wipers. So you can just sit back on your hands. Knees can stay together, and you're just going to kind of take them side to side, the knees. Just side to side, falling left and right. And just like windshield wipers, which we need a lot of today. If you're here in Western North Carolina, we got oodles of rain. And if one side feels a little tight, you can just kind of hang out there. Let those knees fall in the direction that feels good. Let that outer hip and those leg muscles stretch out. All right. So we're going to bring our knees back to center, and I think we're going to go ahead and come down onto our back. So we're getting close to the end here. So go ahead and come down onto your back. And if it feels good, go ahead and draw those knees back in toward your chest. And you might choose to rock again a little bit, side to side. maybe we'll do a couple knee circles. So you can just place a hand on each knee and keep your knees together and just move them in a circular direction. Doesn't matter which direction. I'm going counterclockwise myself. It just kind of gives a little movement to the hips. And we might also massage that low back a little bit as we circle. Go ahead and switch the direction of your circles. One more circle in whatever direction you're doing. And then bring those knees back to chest, back to the chest. One more squeeze toward the chest. Let's go ahead and find our happy baby. So you can keep those knees bent for a second. We're just going to reach down between the knees with our peace fingers, so index and middle fingers of each hand, and grab our big toes. So big toe in each hand, and then you're going to stretch those feet up toward the sky. Usually we take our legs wide apart, and you can keep the knees bent, or some people like to straighten their legs. And you can also rock here a little bit. So think of a happy baby when, if you have had children, or even if you haven't, and, it's sort of the iconic picture of a baby on its back, knees bent, feet in the baby's hands. It's a sweet picture. So just take a moment here. Again, you can have the eyes closed. We're moving toward our final relaxation. So we really want to start winding down here, winding down our mind, letting go of any lingering tension that we might be holding on to today. And one more breath. And then let's release those toes. We're going to bring our feet flat to the floor and we're going to come into bridge pose. So for bridge pose, the knees are bent, the feet are flat on the floor, and we want to scooch our heels in toward our bottom as close as we can get them. We might even be able to reach down and touch the heels. And so you're going to keep your arms at your sides, and then on your next inhale, you're going to start to lift the hips. Press your feet into the floor, lift the hips off the mat. You can hold here if you like. You can also bring your arms underneath your back, kind of scooching your shoulder blades together, and then it helps give you a little bit more lift. Let's hold here and breathe and let the front of the body get a nice stretch. One more breath, keeping those hips lifted if you can. And then with control, lowering the hips back down. Make sure you bring your arms out from under you and your back is nice and flat on the mat. Good. Let's do one more here on our back. Well, we'll probably do a couple more, but there's another good one for the hips. So it's called half pigeon. We're going to take our right foot and just place it on top of the left knee. And then we're going to keep that left knee bent and draw it in toward our chest. Your right arm goes between the legs, and you can interlace your fingers together behind that left knee. And you can either just hold there, or you can rock side to side. And you should be feeling some good stretch in that right hip. Maybe the outer hip, maybe your glute muscle on that right side. Remember to breathe, breathing into any of that tension. One more breath here. It's a really good stretch, especially if you've been sitting a lot or driving. Okay, let's go ahead and switch sides. So this time, left foot on top of the right knee, and we pull that right knee in toward the chest. You can interlace those fingers together behind the right knee, and you can just hold here, or you can rock. And take a couple breaths on this side. Okay, let's start to release that. If you want to just take your legs straight up for a second, maybe circle your feet, and then maybe circle them in the other direction. Scrunch your toes. If you want to come into a shoulder stand, you can go ahead and do that for a little inversion. One more breath here. And if plow is in your practice, you might take those legs behind the back for plow pose. If you're in plow, let's start to release it. You can keep your hands on that low back and slowly lower everything back down to the mat. Bend your knees, bring your feet to the floor. Let's do a little spinal twist. So knees are back in toward the chest. Your arms are out to a T. And we'll just let our knees fall over to the left side. And your gaze, you're going to take your gaze over toward the right hand or toward the ceiling. Just try and relax here as much as you can. Close your eyes. And then we're going to switch sides. So we bring the knees all the way over to the right this time. And our gaze goes toward either the left hand or toward the ceiling. Again, try and close your eyes. Try and let go of any tension that you're still holding on to today. One more breath on this side. And then we're going to come into our final relaxation, our Shavasana. So you're going to just stretch your legs out like we did in the beginning of the class. So legs are straight. Maybe take a foot to either corner of your mat. Arms are going to be at your sides. Feel free to take up space. And we're going to close our eyes and just get really still. And as we settle into this pose, we rest our body. Our body gets to integrate everything that we just did today. And we also get the chance to rest our mind and quiet our mind. If you have trouble with that, I invite you to just focus on your breath. So let's start to bring our awareness back into our space. Maybe beginning to wiggle our fingers and toes. Maybe taking a stretch over your head if you like. And then we're going to start to bend one knee at a time and take a little roll to our right side and just pause there in the fetal position for a moment. Using the strength of your arms, start to lift yourself back up. We're going to come back into that seated position. And we're going to do our closing. So just sit nice and tall for a moment. And I'm just going to read a little mantra for the root chakra. It's really small writing. This is something that you might integrate into your practice or daily life if you like, if you're working with healing your root chakra. Goodness. I choose to live fully within my integrity, cultivating a life of health and happiness. I choose to live fully within my integrity, cultivating a life of health and happiness. So it's a lovely little phrase or mantra that you might take with you today. We're going to end our class by bringing our hands to the heart and just bowing our heads to our hands and just thanking ourselves for making the time for this yoga practice today. And I thank each of you for being here with me today, wherever you're at. And I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your evening and rest of your week. Namaste. Thank you, everyone. I'm wishing everybody lots of health and happiness, staying strong and healthy in body and mind. And stay tuned. I'm going to try to put a class up here once a week, probably a chair yoga on alternating weeks, and a mat class on the weeks opposite the chair yoga. So thank you for being here and just have a great week. Namaste.